on building profitable partnerships. Again, my name is Andy Lucas, and I'm here to introduce Ryan Blair with US Foods. Ryan brings nearly 2 decades of hands-on experience in the food and beverage industry with a background spanning operations, payment processing, point-of-sale systems, and hospitality technology solutions. He currently serves as a hybrid territory business manager with US Foods, supporting operations across Northern California from Santa Rosa and Healdsburg to Eureka. At the core of Ryan's work is a genuine passion for hospitality and people. He is deeply committed to building relationships, understanding the realities operators face, and helping businesses succeed through thoughtful support and practical solutions. So Ryan's going to take us through a little bit about US Foods and what they have to offer in support of our businesses here in Lake County. Thanks for being here, Ryan.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Happy to be here. This is my second time being able to be part of this. I've been with US Foods for 4 years now. I've had 2 different positions in the company. I ran the Mendocino Coast for my first 2 years, and then I moved to a new business manager handling from Redding down through Sacramento, Napa, all the way to Petaluma, and opened up the Eureka district for us. And now I'm a hybrid between that and a territory manager, and I'm working up there, Lake County, Mendocino County, and a small part of Sonoma County. And what I want to talk to you today about is making sure all your partnerships are profitable. I go into a lot of restaurants and they say they haven't seen the rep in months, or they haven't had an interaction with somebody. And I have to encourage you, if you're paying for a service such as food distribution or a POS or a website, you want to make sure that subscription is working for you. Most of us now, especially Cisco and US Foods, we're kind of seen more as consultants now than just food salesmen. If you're just dialing or putting in your order with us, you're not utilizing us enough. Especially in today's climate with pricing and food costs, where it's kind of a roller coaster right now. You want to, instead of calling your rep, I would encourage you to start putting your order in online, and then having that 30-minute conversation about savings and how to maximize profit, how to build specials. US Foods and Cisco both have tools that can help you maximize these things. At US Foods, we have a system called Menu Profit Pro, where you can actually build out dishes to just like 2 ounces of ketchup, 1 piece of lettuce, and it shows you the cost, if you're profitable at all, and where you should cost that item. And that goes into catering just as well. You can cost it out for 200 people, and then that makes sure you're staying profitable through it all. We're slowly integrating into an AI form of this. It's going to be called Menu IQ, where you put your recipes in and then it builds it for you. And then you can maximize that to how many people you want to do. I just came from a talk at Restaurant Week in the last session, and a big thing was specials. And one thing I see a lot of people like, one thing I really like when I walk into a restaurant is a special board and outside, because that always brings me in. That's something that's going on. And I think specials should be 2 things. One thing you're trying research and development on, trying to put onto a menu or bring business back into, or to eliminate waste. If you're looking at what's going out of your business each week, like what you're throwing away, how can I maximize that into profit? Like, you need to pay attention to every aspect of it, especially with food costs being so high. Like, if you're throwing out a ton of lettuce or produce, like, what else can I add into that? And also, like, looking at your menu. Be like, okay, am I utilizing every part of this menu? And how many one-offs do I have? Do I have 3 different types of fish that aren't really selling, but one is? You may want to minimize that down to 1. And like, using your point of sale system, it's not just something that you ring in sales. You pull massive reports on there. You can pull PMix reports on what's your most popular item, what's your most popular item. Like, I walk in all the time, I'm like, what's the most popular thing here? Everyone can answer that question for me. Now, when I ask what's your most profitable item, that kind of gets a little, they're like, I don't really know. You should know which one is your most profitable item, where you're driving the most money to. And also, like, using what's your most popular item, maybe it's not your most profitable, but using those parts of that item into something else and making sure it's going across the menu so you're using all your food throughout the week. I also wanted to touch on a few things. I've heard several times here that Facebook is the way to communicate to Lake County, and that's great. Utilize that all you can, but I would maximize website use. I would maximize Instagram and TikTok, because you're reaching every generation now, because it seems like every kid has a phone and they're glued to it, and Instagram reaches across. And the first thing I do, especially covering as much ground as I do, I get online and I read reviews about each restaurant. I see who's commented on the most, who's interacting with their customers, and even on Yelp or the website itself, Google reviews, you always want to interact with good and bad reviews, because it shows action into it. Because if you go look at the bad reviews, usually that person is a chronic bad reviewer. And you want to respond with kindness. And people are paying attention to that kind of stuff, especially during tourism. Like yes, there is the word of mouth, but everyone now is like searching, all right, what are the top restaurants in here? And that goes to your Google Analytics. And if you want some help with that, there's two that I personally really like. One is called Spot Hopper. Spot Hopper is more for telling a story, building a website. They hire local photographers to cover everything, and you have all that media afterwards too. So you're getting professional video and pictures done through this company. They're helping schedule out posting times too for Instagram throughout the whole year. So that's already set up and taken off your plate. You own all that media, so you can use it for your DoorDash. You can use it for your website as they're building it too. And like they use drone footage, which will like circle the building and then come through and come in. And it's some of the best customer service that I've seen in this kind of platform. And they are very reasonable price in what they do. And I really like that they use local people to help them out in these platforms. Another one is called owner.com. And if you're trying to drive online sales or to-go business, owner.com is a great way to go. They teach you how to do it. They maximize your, basically they come in and they look at all your data analytics and they maximize, all right, be like, okay, we run counter service, but we're getting, on Thursday and Friday night, we're getting, yes. Analytics? Yeah. Point of sale? Yeah. But
I was just wondering with the analytics. Sorry, I'm a big stutterer. But when it comes to, for the program name, what was it? And can you spell it out? It's just hard to follow along.
so for the point of sale, we partner with 4 of them. One is Toast, one is Spot On, one is Lightspeed, and one is Square. And all 4 of those have great reporting tools. They have integration partners that you can do your whole payroll through. You can do your website development, online ordering. Those are 4 probably the biggest right now in the industry. Now, Spot Hopper, it's for website development, Instagram, Facebook, all your interaction through that Google Analytics. And that's where they hire the local photographer and videographer to come in, and you own all that, everything, all the pictures and video, that becomes yours. Now, owner.com, that drives business towards your to-go business. So they're going to come in and pull data and see what days are the biggest, online ordering days, or when you're taking the most to-go orders and how you're doing that. Say if you're running counter service and you're getting calls, that's holding up the line inside the restaurant and also frustrates a customer. So it can be integrated into the POS system so that they can go online, put that order in, and it rings up in, and it's not taking away from the person bringing in sales in the restaurant. And we live in a time right now, everyone wants things instantly, and they want things to go. So it gives you a smoother process through it all. And if you're looking for a good payroll or a good like scheduling company, 7 shifts is fantastic. I've seen them save people so much money over it, and it's all online. The chat is live, you can see it all. And through your point of sale too, you can pull all your sales from the day. You don't even have to be in the office. You can see it all on your phone. And you're like, do I need to go back in today? Do I need to bring somebody in? Do I need to cut someone today? And that's without having to drive back and forth and doing all that too. And as an owner too, maximize your time. And I run into so many owners today that are just buried in so much. And it's like, I know as a rep and handling large amount of business, like you have to cut out time to focus the things that you really want to. So try to carve out at least 2 times a week, 30 minutes into something that will help your business drive and dial in. If that's working with one of your vendors or working on your website or focusing in on anything, you just got to carve that time out to make it, once it's there, it's real. But we can get bogged down by everything in the day all day long to where you haven't even done anything on your to-do list, and then you got 10 more things on there and you're just buried. So it's creating time and taking a step back and being like, okay, this time I'm focusing on this to go forward. And again, if you're paying for something such as a point of sale system or US Foods or Cisco, you should be working with those people or whatever technology it is to maximize the amount of profit into your business. Because if you're paying for something and you're just getting the bare minimum out of it, you're not utilizing it. And that's not a partnership. That's a one-way street. So take from what you can from each one. And like, when I was a bar manager, I had set up meetings with each one of my guys, and it was a certain time each day. And that's how I run my business too. So on Tuesdays, I see certain people throughout the day, certain times, and it's agreed upon time when to show up. And if we can't meet that time, give me a call, that's fine. But this is our set aside time, and it usually works out that time because it works like clockwork. And then from the point of sale side, the amount of reporting that you guys get now is absolutely insane. Like it breaks it down from times, holidays, what's your busiest day, what's your not. It pulls your product report, what's your best selling item, what's not selling. And so many people have these systems and don't utilize it to the max. And that's where I see a lot of us, especially from the bigger companies, we come from restaurant backgrounds or something that has been associated in it. We can help guide you through this and be another part of your business. That's why I always say partner instead of customer, because like without you guys being successful, we're not successful. We want to help you as much as we can grow the business and make sure that you stay profitable and you're aware of all the changes going on in the industry. Like since COVID, it's been the hardest time to operate as a restaurant owner. In LA and San Francisco, there's been 70% turnover in those major cities and restaurants. It's just, you have to adapt to the new ways of operating a business, because if you keep doing the same thing, you're just basically beating your head up against the wall. And technology is that next step. And I live in Willits. We're the last to adapt to technology. Yeah, and I work in Humboldt County and I work in Lake County now. I get it, but we're here to help you along with that and actually like build that. And then once you start doing it, it becomes a habit. And like once you start pulling all that data, it makes everything so much easier instead of guessing. And that's why I encourage you to order online. And you're seeing your weekly prices, you see your last purchase price. And then when your rep does call or you call your rep, be like, hey, I saw this jump this. If they don't have answers for you on why this stuff is doing it, you may want to look elsewhere. If your POS company is not getting back to you on service calls or anything like that, you may want to look elsewhere. And this also goes into like how much, like analyzing how much you're paying on credit cards. Cash is not very likely these days. And like in Lake County, Mendocino County, Humboldt County, the most cards you're taking are debit cards and like class 1 credit cards, just very basic. So you want the lowest rates on all those. If it was me, I wouldn't accept American Express because it's 3.5 and usually a quarter to transact. And if a guy has an American Express card, then he's got 2 other credit cards too. So you want to keep that as low as, nobody should be paying 25 cents a transaction. And a lot of these POS companies want to get you caught in that. And please remember, nothing is free either. There's always a catch to something, especially in that world. And don't get oversold on what you can't handle. If you're a single operator and you're operating in every day, there's certain POS systems that'll work great for you just at the base package, but it's their job to upsell you on everything. And then you get caught into the subscription where you're paying $1,000 a month, yet you're not utilizing three of the tools that are in there. And then realistically, it takes an extra 30 hours to program this to actually work properly. And like, these are things I like to sit down with my operators and be like, okay, what are we using here? How are we using this? And then even like, are we cutting steaks? How good is the chef at cutting steaks? Should we do a pre-ordered 8-ounce rib, like fillet? Or should we do a cut 12-ounce ribeye? Because if you're missing cuts and there's 3 extra ounces on each steak, you're losing money every single time. And now with the way technology's developed too, the labor savers that the big providers offer are huge, and you're not taking anything out of your food anymore. It's not just like a pre-made substance, like it adds to it. And yeah, go through every aspect and like make a list of what you want to improve in your business and carve out 30 minutes, even one time a week, to work on one of those things and just start knocking them down. Work with your reps on your price, and then make sure you're utilizing your point of sale system to every avenue that you can to be profitable, because you have all this data. Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the point of sale system, I just always like to make sure that people know too. People love to make those loans available based on your point of sale, and those could be incredibly predatory.
Yes.
So of all of those things that you mentioned, I just wanted to make sure you mentioned that too before you sign on to any of those. Make sure you talk to somebody and make sure it's a good deal for you, because they are not always a good deal.
Loans and credit card processing can definitely catch you on the backside. If your rates are not locked in, and they can mess with them, if you're not hitting a certain yearly average, they can raise your credit card rates on some of the POS systems. And the loans, or they almost get you stuck into using that POS system. It looks like a genuine offer, but when you do research into it, there's better ways to go. And they make it super easy for you to do too. Square and Toast, I know that's how they catch a lot of people. Are there any other questions or?
Back when I first started ordering food, I met with the rep every week, sometimes in different establishments, twice a week. And when I would put in an order, things were negotiable.
Yeah.
Right? If I didn't want that, then I could often say, that's a little high. I just had Cisco here, and they quoted me this, and then they would change that price sometimes to beat that price. Can you elaborate a little bit on that for maybe some folks who came into the industry not knowing that's the way it's been ran for, a really long time? Can you elaborate just a little bit on that?
So yes, I still go in and negotiate everything. Usually with the way all of our pricing programs work now, I try to do it 2 days before so that price sticks. Everybody is fighting for each case. I think it's just about having that conversation with the rep in a timely manner to get that done. And I see a lot of owners now just putting orders in, and they get caught up ordering the same things from each vendor. And then it just is like clockwork. Hey, I get this from this from this. If you're not comparing both right now, it almost seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot. I get in trouble for this all the time, but you should have 2 vendors, especially in food.
Back in the day when this was probably early 2000s, and I was ordering $20,000 worth of food a week at a casino. And I purposely made those two people see each other, right? So one would come in and then they would have to run into each other. And then they always knew that they were competing for that $20,000. And it made my food costs significantly,
Yeah.
like it was really super dialed. And I've been at the school for a long time now, so I don't quite do that anymore. But that was just a technique that I used for a long time.
It's true though. It's true, and I know a lot of the reps I go up against. And now it's in a climate where a lot of Cisco reps that were in the past work for U.S. Foods. A lot of U.S. Foods reps work for Performance. No, it definitely does, and I truly believe you should have two vendors because you have to keep each honest, especially with the larger vendors. You have to compare, and like you also got to remember that Cisco has buying power and U.S. Foods has buying power. What are they buying that week? That drives the food cost down. Because sometimes I run into stuff where like Cisco's beating us on 3 items by like a significant amount, but I can make it up on the back end and it almost evens it out. But like it's really diving into and being like having those conversations with both reps, being like, why is this so much? Why is this here? Usually there's a reasoning behind it. And I'll be honest too, everyone's adapting to AI pricing now too, where it comes in and like we set a price every Friday. If you're a good rep, you set your price every Friday. And sometimes that price doesn't stick because what's going on in the rest of the market. So if you're not on top of it, and again, this goes back into online ordering too. If you're not seeing the price in front of you and seeing your last purchase price, you're unaware of that till that money's gone. Have those conversations before and figure out why this is. And like where we used to be able to cut money to drop, they may not be there now. I try to point my operators in opposite directions. Like when iceberg lettuce was so high, I was pointing them to hydroponically grown lettuce that it stays stable because it's a constant. There's no factors of weather that goes into it. And it's not like a forever, it's just a Band-Aid for right now till we can get back to that other stuff. And like, say like, hey, my chefs are out. I'm gonna be out all week. Well, maybe it's going into a pre-cut item to save that time in the kitchen so your one guy isn't drowning the whole week and quits at the end of the week. Like I wanna come up with solutions with you to make you operate better and not make you feel like you're stuck in and be like, well, I'll never be like, well, no, $77 is the price, sorry. But it's to the point now where everyone is looking for another vendor to save them food cost money. We're all at the point now where it's pretty level across the board. I would look at who's servicing you the best, who's coming to you with the best solutions, who's coming to you with menu concepts, who is showing up. And like, yeah, I love the idea of the 2 reps running in. That's one of my favorite things, honestly, because people get uncomfortable and just like pat them on the back and be like, hey, I'm here too. Yeah, but no, I do get in trouble for this a lot, but you need 2 vendors to keep them both honest and hold them both accountable. Yeah, please don't tell my boss I said that. Any other questions about anything? Yes.
Probably more of a comment, but thinking in terms of all things being equal, you have to look at your particular situation as the owner, right? I mean, maybe you're using more, I don't know, Turani syrup than, say, the business next door. So those are where you have maybe some leverage and negotiation. So I think for each of our entrepreneurs and business owners and students, when you're thinking about that, you really have to know your own situation, know your own business, know your own needs, know your own sort of cycles and seasonality so that you can negotiate appropriately.
I tell operators all the time, know what you do well and do that. Don't try to be everyone else. I see that a lot where I walk in and there's a menu and it has 4 pages in it. And they're trying to be Americano, Mexican grill, pizza. And it's like, you're doing too much. You're ordering all this food. It's not being utilized. Like, know what you do. Don't try to be someone else. Like, know what you do it well. and nail that down. And honestly, like right now with the way food cost is, like you can minimize your menu, do it super well, and that's what brings people back. There's a stat I heard the other day. It's 75% of diners, like because food cost is so high, when they go into a restaurant, they want to have a good experience they can tell their friends about. So things I look about when I go in, especially prospecting people, I'm looking at, was I greeted at the door? When, like, did someone say, hello, I'll be with you right there? How clean is the restaurant? How does the restaurant operate? How do the waiters work with the kitchen? How does the kitchen work with the general manager? How does that flow? Because if there's problems there, and it's visible to me from just sitting at the bar and just observing while I eat a salad or something, other people are seeing that too. And like, you want it to be smooth as possible. You want your hosting staff to be gracious, like, and welcoming into your establishment. And you want everyone to be comfortable in there. Now, if the executive chef is screaming at the general manager or the GM's making a waitress cry over in the corner, probably not going back. Even if the food's great, I'd be like, that was crazy, not how I wanted to spend my 2 hours. Yeah, no, I mean, that's it. Like, it is, those are the three key things I look at it, and I think that's what makes a successful restaurant too. And like, I watch how people treat one another in the restaurant. And as owners too, encourage your wait staff, like give them incentives, even if it's a little thing. Like if you do have a special, get a $25 or $50 Amazon gift card and be like, all right, let's see who can sell the most of these in a certain amount of week. And like, that's an extra $50 in their pocket they didn't have. And all you're doing is encouraging them to do their job better and pushing a product that you may be looking at to put on the menu. And if it does work well, great. If not, you still probably push more of those specials than you did without the incentive put in place. I grew up and I worked movie catering and concert catering from the time I was like 15 through college. I ran bars. I ran a country club for a little bit. I started out as the dishwasher, and then I was the food runner, and then I got in trouble as a food runner, so they sent me back to the dishwasher, and then I became the salad chef, and then I became head waiter, and then I became the head bartender. And like I've watched bars and restaurants operate well, and when they're running their best, everyone is working together to make the place better, and they're working as like one. And something I took away from one of the groups I'm working up in Humboldt too, this guy owns 14 restaurants up there. He's constantly growing. He's going up in Crescent City. He's coming down into Mendocino County now. And what he does with all his people, everyone has 2 jobs. So the dishwasher is on the line one night. The hostess is waiting tables one night. Everyone has a revolving spot. So, because right now, employee accountability is kind of low. So you have someone to pop in at any one of those spots, and it also gives a person kind of a career path through your restaurant to work in different spots. And it's learning, and also it's not having a huge payroll too, because you can pop your dishwasher in on the line cook, bring someone else in. It's maximizing with as little as possible. And that's where also the technology is going to come in to help too. If you're, say you have a family event, you have to go to your daughter's birthday and it's a Friday night, you can tune in on your phone, see sales, like, all right, do I need to cut someone? Do I need to bring someone in? And that's without having to call somebody. That's without having to go in. Like, you're watching your sales real time, hour by hour, minute by minute, really now. It's crazy what you can have at your fingertips. And it's taking the time to embrace that, to kind of fill the holes where we used to have people to fill those spots. But now with the cost of, like, the average cost to hire someone, like if you're paying your dishwasher $16 to $20, what are you paying your executive chef? So you got to maximize the most out of everything you're paying for to make it work for you the best. Any other questions? See, we got Cisco in here right now. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I was just also going to kind of tack on to that point about the loans and what's available out there, especially in the food service industry and retail. We saw it a lot because we work with North Edge up in Eureka. They do term loans, business loans. They work in Lake County. We work with banks and other lenders too, but we saw a lot of those types of businesses unfortunately get involved where, you know, you're in a pinch, you need the money. That's a source that you can go to right away, but it ends up really eating into your bottom line, and they're doing factoring on your revenue generation and taking a big chunk of that. And so we saw a lot of folks just they weren't able to sustain that or survive that. And I think you elaborated on it, but I just want to kind of put that in folks' heads that, you know, money overnight, generally it comes with strings. I'll put it that way. Kind of like what you're saying on nothing's free,
if
right?
it takes
on the
3
PO.
clicks to get a loan, you probably want to talk to someone before you get the loan.
Yeah.
And they make it as easy as possible for you to get locked in. And always, they said it in the last session we were in, the best relationship you can have is with your banker. Like, that's setting that up and having those talks and making sure you're on schedule for everything and not jumping at the first thing. And again, I know everyone thinks they're buried, but it's like stepping back from that wall and like, I'm not buried, I can do this. And then operating in a timely fashion to get things done, and that's setting up that time. Even if it's 1 day a week, you take an hour to yourself to knock out things that you need to do. Overall, it's going to affect your business positively in the future.
And you generally feel better about yourself and the day, because I'm victim to it too. You procrastinate, and then it's like, and then when you finally do it, it's like, yes, got it.
Everybody needs a deadline.
So, along the lines of the profitable partnerships, right? We talk about, your vendors, your customers as being partners. What about technology and your sense of how AI is affecting not only just the operations, the workflows at restaurants or food businesses, hospitality businesses, but what about how your clientele will find you in the future? I mean, is AI and sort of technology changing, or will it change sort of how, we think of like a Yelp review or a Google review, or, when I go out and I Google restaurants near me, is any of that going to change for these food entrepreneurs? I mean, do you have a sense of that at all?
Yes. I mean, the simple answer is yes. And it's those integrating partners that you're using, and like, don't just sign up for a demo, talk to people who have done it and worked with these people. Ask for a client list when you go into it. Usually they have referral people too. Anybody can make a demo work very well. And if you're looking, especially to like, as far as like Google Analytics goes and driving your name to the top of that list, like that's just short research you can do on your own too. But there's companies such as owner.com is a great one. They will help you push your name to the top of the list, focus on those reviews, and drive in online business too. It's showing a lot of people don't even want to. We were talking when Bob was earlier, I mean, email's kind of going away. Everyone wants to communicate over text. Like, people don't want to call in anymore. They want to put their order in online and let it pop through. And honestly, that's a benefit to you because you don't have that person at the register taking it while there's 3 people in line. Yeah, exactly. And AI, I see as a positive for our business where we're heading. I know at home, I use ChatGPT all the time where I'm like, I got carrots, tomatoes, steak, like what do I do with this? And it gives me like three recipe concepts to come up with. And we're developing something at US Foods. It's going to be called Chef GPT. And you can start utilizing it and asking it questions. And where we used to have Menu Profit Pro, that was where you could build out all your dishes online, but you had to insert everything into it. Now you can take a picture of a recipe, upload it in, and then it puts it in there, and then you make sure everything's correct. And it shows you in green and red. Green, you're good, red, you're bad, and it shows you overall profit of everything, what you should price this dish out at. And like if you're doing a catering event, you can put it in for 100 people. And it shows you how much you need to order of each thing. I think if utilized properly and having a good understanding of it, and I encourage everyone to kind of bend into technology because that's where everything is going, and that's where all the majors are going to. It's taking advantage of that, understanding it, and making it work for you, and not you trying to figure out how it works, because it's coming and it's here. Like it's like the internet. People were terrified of it. Still a little terrifying, but utilized correctly, it's all right.
So we were talking about this in my last class. I teach restaurant management classes, and then so we're trying to figure out how far AI is going to go for us. And then as their instructor, what I'm trying to tell them is, yes, this is going to be an awesome tool, just like you said. I can't wait to get my hands on that. For somebody that's been doing it for a long time, that's amazing. But what words of advice do you have for those students who are learning those things with the calculator now, and how important is that going to be to their future?
You still need to know the basis of everything that you do. You don't want to rely on anything to give you the answers, because one, it may not always be correct. You still want to check everything that you're doing through it, and having the tools to do it, because as we know, internet goes down, and especially out in these rural areas, it doesn't work great. So you want to have the base foundation of everything you're doing. Just think of AI as a tool that you can back check your work on and consult with you. It is not there to do your job for you, because if you let it do that, it's going to do that. Like, it's already happening in fast food restaurants where they're coming out with full robotic staffs, everything. There's probably one person inside doing it. I think that's only going to affect that segment of all that. I think there's going to be a personal touch into I&D and bigger restaurants where you still need that personal connection. Like, I don't think comedians are going to get replaced by AI. I don't think actors are going to get replaced by AI. I still think we crave that human connection in certain things, and food is definitely one of them.
There is one thing I am concerned about, because there's a oh my goodness. When it comes to resources and whatnot, AI uses a lot of water, and it's a lot of drinking water that's for humans. So I don't think in the long run, all of the AI, or eggs in a basket, I guess you can call it, is going to be using that, because it just takes too much effort to keep on that of the system itself. So it's just, where do you think you can say is the line of how many eggs can they put in that basket? I guess I can explain.
I don't think I'm the right person to answer that, but I agree with you. It does use a lot of resources. It should be used properly, and there should be regulations on how it's used and where it's used and what water we're taking from. I do know it's here, and it's not stopping, and it's one of the fastest growing industries right now. So instead of rejecting it, learn how to work with it and adapt it into your life. Now that's up to you how much you utilize it, and that goes back to learning the base skills of everything, because if you know the actual basis of everything, you don't have to use AI. But all being said, it's not going anywhere. They're not going to shut it down, and it's here. So
Yeah, I would also say, I think, if you kind of look at history and society, there's, you kind of get this momentum towards one thing or one technology or one system, and usually there's kind of a pendulum swing back, and it'll sort of self-correct. So it's, we're not going to go into fully, autonomous AI, restaurants, and it's all operated. There's no human connection. There's no real ambiance. I think that's a lot of that, what Ryan was saying, the humanity of dining out and hospitality. You're going there to be taken care of, so to speak, and I don't know if a machine would sort of give you that touch, so to speak, that you're looking for.
yes, sir.
I don't see AI taking over, because they go for the interaction with the people, like waitresses.
Yeah.
My grandpa loved talking to the waitresses, so I know they go for the interactions, mostly. So.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I do not think it's going to take over in that aspect, but in different aspects of the business, it's already here and applying itself. So I think it's good to have a good understanding of it, but the personal connection, I believe, is never going to go away. I know why I like to go sit at a bar. I know why I like to go dine, and it's to have that experience with friends and family, or to meet someone new, or I'm on the road constantly, and like at the end of the day, sometimes I just want to talk to someone about nothing, about anything other than food or onion, like with just like, what's going on in your day? Like, fill me in. It's like a construction worker, or I met a guy the other day who paints in and outs, and I was like, that's the coolest thing I've heard all day. And no, I don't think it's going to replace the restaurant industry. I do think it's going to be a big help in operating though.
It'd be nice if he was painting an In-N-Out over here in Lake County, if they could
I
build
got his
one.
number. I can hook you up.
So, do we have any other questions or comments for Ryan before we wrap up this session? And then, all right, thank you, Ryan. We'll conclude this session, and we have a